actually do to ease racial tension or make race relations
Yeah.
better, and tie it in with yourself? Because I see you as an example of being able to go on both sides of this
Yeah,
track,
yeah.
and class, whether it's gender, class, or economics. Oh no, there's one more. But whatever it is, you seem to cross all
Yeah,
of them.
right. Now watch this one. Believe it or not, I had more problems with the black guys being an Uncle Tom. Marion, or Captain, or whatever they would say, you are an Uncle Tom because you were trying to make us all get along with each other. Uncle Tom, that's an old term.
That's what they call you.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not, they didn't do it personally, but I heard things going on around the base. In fact, not only me, but anybody that was in the program that was doing what we were doing, try to make racism go down to a level that was tolerable, if you will. But those of us at whatever base, they saw us, being Uncle Toms, if you will, doing what the white man said we supposed to do. And this program was started in, can't think of the name of the base, but somewhere, I think maybe even Vietnam, started by a black, a Lieutenant Colonel, '05. He started it, trying to make things easier for the military people to get along. And then it just kind of grew and grew. We got to go to a class in Florida for about 6 weeks, I think it was, learning how to get along with each other. From a race, in the military, if the races can't get along, oops, we're in trouble if we go to war.
Right.
Yeah, because
So
who's protecting my back? Yeah, go ahead.
So, calling you or preferring to you as an Uncle Tom, and you think, or you're trying your best to make people get along, how did that make you feel? I always would say feelings into
Yeah,
the intellectual
yeah.
questions, because I want to know what made you tick.
Believe it or not, Bill, it didn't bother me as much as some people might have thought it should have, because I did my job. I knew what the goal was, to make the military, in this case the Air Force, a better place to serve. I would walk into a dormitory and you could hear the guys down the hall, look out, here comes Uncle Tom, whatever they might have said. But when I got with them, that attitude changed, because I was captain at the time, so that they quieted down. But I'm sure when I left, there goes that Uncle Tom, or whatever they might have said, whatever. But I didn't hear it.
So you continue to do your job.
Yeah, I didn't hear it eyeball to eyeball, if you will, because they did respect the rank. I got to give them credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew what was going on, because the other captains who been over at other bases, we would stay in communication about what was happening on the bases, what needed to be done to make these things work out.
Did you do the same thing here at North?
No.
Or you had a different?
I had a different,
what do you do here?
Okay, now let me share with you about that one. In 1973-ish, I was in Milson Personnel Social Actions, and I got a call from the what we call the SAC,
Strategic
Air Command Headquarters. Marion, we got a black general out at Norton Air Force Base, General Tom Clifford, and never will forget him. And
Thomas.
Thomas Clifford, yeah.
Tom Clifford.
Thomas Clifford.
Thomas Clifford. Not Paul Green.
No.
That's why I never heard that name.
Yeah,
Tom
well,
Clifford.
he was a
It's in a different area of the base. It was
And he was a what again?
One-star general, brigadier general. Brigadier General, one-star general.
Okay, so you found out he was there, someone
Well,
called
no,
you
yeah, well, somebody called me.
and told you he's here.
Yeah, and he said he had no black officers, didn't have any black officers under his command.
and his command was
Inspecting
inspection.
the Air Force. Our job was to go around the Air Force and inspect in the various personnel positions that we had. Mine was in social action, human relations. That's what my specialty was. Yours might be in maintenance. Yours might be in whatever. But our job was to go to different bases around the Air Force, worldwide, to see how the programs were working on that particular base.
Okay.
So when I got in, so he said he needed some black officers. Now, I know, and this guy told me, the personnel guy at SAC, said, I know there's some black officers. The general said he knows there's some black officers that know what to do, how to make this program work. So I was reassigned to, in fact, when they called me, he said, the guy asked me, how would you like to have a job at Air Force level? Now, each level in their military is a level, and the higher up you go, the more rank you can get, and whatever. And my mind was on going to Washington, D.C. That's where the headquarters for the Air Force is located.
Right.
And I said, okay, yeah, I think I like it. And you like moving
I was
around.
getting excited to
Yeah.
go
Were
to
you at
Washington.
Norton then?
No, we were at Whiteman Air Force
So you
Base.
hadn't gotten to Norton
No.
yet? Okay.
And so when we got the assignment to come to go to the Air Force level, which means you can get a promotion and whatever, we were thinking we were going back to D.C., but we came out to Norton Air Force Base, 1974, July 1974.
And so how did you perform in terms of your job here?
Well, my job, and I had two other guys working with me, we would go out to the Air Force at different bases to see how the human relations program was working. 1976, my wife got a call before I did. The General Tom Clifford, called my wife, said, tell Marion he got promoted to major. And then I was somewhere else, on an assignment. But she called me up and said, Marion, oh, well, you got promoted. But the General called her up. Now, when we weren't on military duty officially, we were good friends. The
Okay.
General, yeah, we're very good friends. Just
And
hey,
all the bases.
all
that
the
were
bases.
stationed.
And that was more rank and more money.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. In fact, sometimes I could and should to complain about the 6 years that I lost when I was enlisted. But the experience that we got is E1, E2, E3, E4, E5 was great. Because now I can identify with where you are, who you are. I've been there.
Right.
Some people can talk about, yeah, I know it's rough, but we had been there. I would call their wives in when the guys would be complaining about, my wife can't do this. Mama, tell them how to do it. Crackers and hamburgers and hot dogs.
101 ways.
Yeah. She had been there. So we lost money, but we had the experience of being able to talk about what you got to do.
And that helped you later because of that adversity.
Yeah, well.
I would call that adversity. You could have joined as an officer,
Yeah.
you didn't. And so this was like wasted, but then it turned out to propel you
Yeah,
to
amen,
higher
amen.
ground.
What I was gonna share now, I did not know, I thought, my fault, everybody came in as enlisted. I'm telling you, Bill and Rose, that's what I thought. And my cousins did not tell me that it was any different. It kind of bothers me too. See, I could come in as a second lieutenant, but I came in as an airman basic, then.
In fact, when we married, he was
One strike.
striker.
I had one strike when we got married, and she's still married.
All right,
Yeah.
so you're, and you stayed here at Norton.
Yeah.
Until you retire. Any other experience you
Yeah,
want
watch
to
He
this.
went to another
Yeah.
base.
I stayed, this assignment was for the inspection assignment was a 2-year assignment. Then they assigned me to the base personnel for another 2 years. So I stayed here from 74 to 78. But I was working in base personnel as whatever my job was, so I can't recall what it is now. And then in 78, somebody said, I had, my 20 years up were up in whenever, in 79 or whatever they were supposed to be up. But they sent me up to Anchorage, Alaska. Now our daughter was a senior in high school when I went to Alaska, and she sort of, Daddy, I don't want to leave my class, which is all right. So my family did not go with me to Anchorage, Alaska, which was all right to me, because Anchorage
They
is.
stayed in San Bernardino?
They stayed in Rialto, yeah.
Stayed in Rialto?
Yeah.
So you really moved to Rialto while he was still serving?
Right, when we moved, when we came to California, we bought a house in Rialto.
Oh, so you didn't live on base?
No, we never lived on base in San
So
Bernardino.
you bought a house and then you drove over to the base?
Yeah.
Right.
and or wherever you had to go?
Right.
And you did that. Now, while you were in Rialto, he's gone somewhere else doing something else, and his military duty. What are you doing?
Well,
watch this one.
the first day, I guess it was the second week or so after we had moved into the house, maybe a month after we moved into the house, I applied at the Rialto Unified School District to sub.
As
to
a
substitute
teacher?
as a
So-
teacher.
Okay.
Because I had completed my teaching credential in '68. And so at the different bases, like in Las Vegas, I substituted. And every base after I got my degree, I substituted. Because I didn't want to take a position knowing that in maybe 2 or 3 years I was going to have to leave. So I subbed. But when I got to Rialto and I applied, the very next day they called me to sub. And we had some friends that were going to Hawaii, and they had stopped by and were staying with us. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I've got house guests. I don't think I can make it today. They said, well, we'll call you again. So they called me, and I finally, I would do substitution work. And the teacher, before I got that, I did a long-term sub. I guess it was, I can't remember when it was, 70, must have been 75, the end of 75. And I subbed at Dunn Elementary.
Done.
Okay. One time, and in '77,
Watch this.
the principal called me and said, I'm setting up a new class. Would you like it? And I'd only been at that school one time. And I called Marion and I said, I got an offer for a job. What do I do?
I said, take it.
Yeah.
And so
I
I
can
said,
believe
I've never had never had to apply for a position. I said yes, so I called it back and I said, yes, I'll take it. And this was in the middle of the year. I had the weekend to set up my class and be ready to start that next Monday.
So how long did you stay?
And I
at Dunn?
stayed at Dunn 12 years.
Okay. And then what
And
happened?
then I transferred to Hugh Banks. And I stayed at Hugh Banks for 8 years.
And that was a new school?
That was a new school. I started
You started?
at that school in '89.
Mhm.
No, was it? Yeah, '89. Yes.
So you never moved with Marion to any other military
No.
location? Once you
No.
got to San Bernardino, he had decided that's where we're going to stay, so
Where we're
you
gonna stay.
set up Cameron.
So when he went to Anchorage, Alaska, I said, if you want to stay here, I want a 2-story house. That's before my knees got that.
Right.
So.
2-story.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at houses all around the area. And I found the one that, where we are now.
What year in?
They were just building it, and I watched them build my house from the concrete slab up.
Right. So that is so beautiful, if you're gonna stay here, you want a 2-story house, and he was able to
And he came home,
accommodate
he
you.
came home on leave one time, and I said, that's the house I want. I took him to show it to him. Okay, if that's what you want.
So
we
you
signed for it.
retired from Rialto Unified School District?
I retired from the Rialto Unified School District in '96.
Okay, what type of activities, outside of teaching did you do and is doing now in the community?
Well, in 1979, I was always involved, we were involved on base, at the base chapel until it closed. I taught Sunday school, sang in the choir, and did different things. And in 1979, I was initiated into Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority.
Okay.
And I worked in different capacities in that organization, from vice president to all kinds of committee chairman. During the period from '79 to the present. And I also worked in, once the base closed, we went to Ecclesia, and I worked at that. Worked in the church there. And I like to do craft type things and event planning. I tried my hand in helping people with their weddings and did that. After I retired
Watch this one.
from the Rialto School District, well, I had not sub, but I had done a class at Cal State part-time in '95. Well, I got to know some of the professors there on campus, and I was sitting at home that summer after I had that class, and they called and said, "Charlotte, would you like to teach a class next quarter? It's fall quarter." I said, "Yeah, I'll teach." So once I signed